That's where I'll cut it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is quiet down here.
It's very scary.
It is quiet down here.
I don't feel like I'm in my own house.
Why?
Tito.
All right, everybody. Welcome back. Long time coming. We're in a new studio. We're in a new house, new abode. My guest today is my lovely girlfriend, my fiance, Brittany Burnett.
Hi.
How do you feel about this?
I might start crying again. I'm so nervous.
How do you feel about hearing your own voice?
Oh, God, I hate my own voice.
Why?
I don't know. It's weird.
Really? Well, keep this pretty, you want this
Closer?
like a fist from your mouth the whole time.
Actually, I sound a lot different, I feel like, in this mic than I usually do.
Yeah, because you're hearing your own voice. You hear your own
but
voice as your own voice.
When you hear your voice in, recordings, I want to throw my phone.
Mm-hmm. It's a little different. It's softer.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't hate it as much.
You don't?
No.
You stressed out?
Yes.
It's okay. We'll get through it.
All right.
Cheers. So, why I wanted to have you on here.
Mm-hmm.
I asked you earlier what questions you thought I was going to ask you. You didn't like that question?
I did not like that question. I don't feel like you're my fiance right now. I feel like I'm actually in a
Getting interviewed?
interview. Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you for helping me set all this up.
You're welcome.
For people that don't know, that are listening, well, obviously, a lot of people, no one knows. We just bought a house. We're not going to be talking about relationship stuff. I don't think so. I'm sure it'll evolve into that. That's not my plan. We just bought a house. We just moved into the house.
Easter weekend.
Holy shit, 3 months ago tomorrow. 3 months tomorrow. Cheers. Congrats.
Go team.
This has been on hold for a while because of packing and moving, and we are on the unfinished. Our whole basement's unfinished, and we are in the back fucking corner of this thing.
Yeah, we're staring at all of our
Yeah, anyone that comes in here,
boxes.
you're just gonna have to excuse it all because it's
Yeah.
an unfinished basement.
We have a laundry chute that drops about a foot to the right of this curtain.
Okay, so why you're here? Why I think you should be here?
Well, I live here.
Yes. Why are you in this seat? I should say. I think a lot of people have a lot to learn from you, given your position and your experience, what you've done, where you've came from. I don't think you give yourself enough credit. I don't think you tell yourself that you're proud of yourself enough. I am super proud of you.
Am I gonna cry?
You might.
Oh goodness.
And you are a rock star, and you kill it in your job. And a lot of people want to get in med sales, and I don't think a lot of people know. From what I hear from your conversations and people that call you, whether it's Mackenzie's friends or your nursing friends or et cetera, that want to get into it, I feel like it's very murky waters. It's very foggy with what people should be doing and where they should be going and what they should be looking into, especially with nurses, because it's a very different world, like we were just talking about at dinner. Mm-hmm. And I think you have a lot to share, and you could provide a lot of value for people that are looking to get into it.
I think it's a glorified industry.
Yeah, why?
Because the dollar signs that come with it. You know, when you say that you're in medical sales, people are like, "Oh," but I mean, there's a lot of hard work behind it. Obviously, I would say my personal story. I give credit to a lot of family friends, so they opened a lot of doors for me. And I hate that when everyone says, you know, it's like you got into this role because you knew so-and-so.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
It is who you know, and I do applaud that, and I thank you all the people who got me to where I am today. However, I think they can open a door, they can give you the key, but they can't actually get you through the door.
That's a good way of putting it.
You have to sell yourself into the position. So for my personal story, which obviously you know, but for the humans that want to know, I lost my job when Jack lost his job.
COVID, baby. Shout out.
2 days apart. Cheers to that. We lost our jobs, our very first jobs out of college.
I lost my job
48 hours of one another.
I lost my job Friday the 13th. She lost her job Monday.
That Monday, yeah. And we were both kind of like
in
smaller business.
Yeah, you were in a smaller business. I was in a startup.
Small sales teams. I was like one of the younger on the team, so I didn't have a family. I didn't have kids. I didn't have a house, so I was like easily disposable.
Yeah.
So then you and I both went to work for my mother, which was fun. Spent every waking moment together. And then that's when I started talking to my family friend, John Schakowsky and Becky Schakowsky. And then I got to be a 1099 for John. So started just covering cases, which in the medical world, I wasn't
And that
selling
was
anything.
when you got that first 1099, what was that product or service?
That was kyphos,
Which
so
is?
kyphoplasty. So when your vertebral levels decide to smash in on themselves, we put like bone, your vertebral levels.
Oh, the balloon with cement in it.
Yeah.
I remember
we
that.
Put
Yeah.
bone cement, and then it like fills
It
up
expands
that
your
space.
spine.
Yeah, it fills your vertebral body with cement so that it's not crushing.
Girlfriend, you got to use little words. We got to use little words.
Well, I was giving you the picture. When your little bodies crush, we blow it back up. So that was my first company. I forgot
you did that. I totally forgot you did that.
I only did it for about 7 months.
Only still.
Mm-hmm.
But that was your foot in the door.
That was huge. So I was only covering cases. So I was not selling anything. I was within accounts that were already built by John. And then I was just covering the cases. So just in the OR. However, he told me, he's like, give it 6 months, give it a year, and you'll be a hot commodity. And so I stayed active on LinkedIn, and then that recruiter from Boston Scientific found me.
So this was, when I started my job was in January 21. Didn't you work for your mom a little? So this was probably spring of 21?
I got my job, no. So John, I got my job end of 2020 because I got my Boston job May of 2021 because we lost our jobs at the beginning of 2020.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, because
I started working for him like through the holiday season.
Because I started doing my license at the same time. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So then I got into Boston. And again, when you look on LinkedIn, which a few of my friends are running into this right now, like all of my nursing friends who want to come to the dark side, everything on LinkedIn says you have to have 2.5 years of sales experience or clinical roles. And that's not technically nursing. It might be for some job hunters, like hires. However, I did not have 2.5 years of experience, but the recruiter was able to get my foot in the door, and then I was able to sell myself to my bosses at Boston Scientific. So I would say that's a huge thing.
Having someone put your foot in the door.
Having someone to open a door for you is huge. I don't know many people that have done it cold turkey. I respect anyone that has, but I will say, like, it does help to know people in the industry, but you never know who your mom, like, who your best friend's parents do. I say that all the time to my younger sister and all of her friends. I'm like, you never know. Like, John Chakowski, I nannied his kids growing up, and Becky's my mom's best friend.
There you go.
So it's, like, small world.
So, backtracking before all this, so we met at Mizzou.
In math class.
Yeah, your initial major was bio, right?
Yes. Wow, I cannot believe you remember that. I barely remember that.
And
I dropped out because we had to dissect frogs.
Fuck that.
At 6 a.m. in the morning.
But you always had the thought of wanting to get into the medical realm because that's why you went bio.
I did.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
as a kid, I used to say I wanted to be an anesthesiologist for the simple fact that I could say that whole word.
So and then you switched to business, did marketing.
Mm-hmm. And then I did emphasis of sales.
I'm curious about for what you've learned on the job and the continuous learning that you go through. Sales is a huge part, but I feel like the business side of it is not as strong. Do you think it's more impactful to people to go through I don't want to say for the people to go through nursing, but to go like the bio route, maybe pre-med route, or the business route to get into this kind of stuff? Do you think the bio route, even just those couple classes you had freshman year, helped you in the long run? Or do you think if you would have done business from the get-go, done with like my route, finance and whatever, it did marketing, if you did management, do you think it would have taken you the same route? Do you think one of them would have helped you over the other one?
I don't think studying that for the 2 years I did helped because it doesn't apply. Like, this is going to sound...
Because you were doing, like, chemistry and biology and...
Yes, but this is going to sound, like, degrading to school. But nothing I learned from school necessarily like, trains you to sell the product. Like, you go through very, very intense training programs to sell these products and be experts in your field. And I would say nothing really school-wise
prepares you for that.
No, it doesn't. Now, I'd say if someone was in high school right now and asked me, like, what should I do?
Yeah, yes, exactly.
I would probably say business, but then I would probably ask, like, if you wanted to go to nursing, go to nursing. Do your years as a nurse because, I mean, it's a highly respected field.
Right.
We always
I'm not saying don't do
more
nursing just because
but,
you want to get, or do nursing just because you want to get med sales. That's not.
yeah, I wouldn't say that would be the route because nursing school is hard.
Yeah, that's a whole different. That's a whole different beast.
And it's completely different because, like I've told a lot of my friends who want to get into nursing, I can't do anything nursing related. Like, I will get fired if I do
You can't save my life.
nursing related things. No, I mean, I would try my very hardest, but I probably wouldn't get very far. Like, I don't know all of the things that nurses know. But I also can't teach like nurses can. So when they can give recommendations of medications and all of that, like in my personal field, I'm only the expert of my product. I cannot do. And all of my patients are on medications, but I can't recommend adjustments or changes. I always have to say, call your physician, call your nurse practitioner. So I think it's a hard shift. Like, I have some friends that are shifting into that sales role where they're going to have to turn off their nurse brain of knowing everything and being able to tell and help in every aspect, where now they're only allowed to be an expert in one field. But back to the question, because we got sidetracked. I don't know many people, like, I always was told as a kid to do sales. And then when I wanted to be in the medical field, they were like, yeah, do medical sales. But it was never like, oh, get a medical sales job fresh out of college. I think that's hard to do.
Yeah, that's kind of because I've heard a lot of people reach out to you, whether it's Max friends, recent grads, nursing friends, etc., and they're looking how to get into it. And I feel like that's where it gets convoluted.
It does, because
it's like
rare that there's entry level.
With what I got into what I do now, exactly. Like, my tech sales job, I don't feel like would. Yes, it was sales, but I don't feel like it would directly translate into what you do. Or even, because because you're, a clinical specialist now?
Yeah, that is my title.
And that's different from what you were doing previously.
I was a clinical specialist at Boston. I don't even know what my title was at First Care Medical.
It's like, the 2 years of sales, like, I feel like I wouldn't tell someone right out of school, yeah, hey, just go get a tech sales job or whatever, and then you can transfer right over. How do you feel about that?
I guess that's true. I'm trying to think of where
like the people you've, like David from Balto, Gideon from Balto, anyone that you met of those people, Megan, like, do you think that their experience with what I did would have translated over straight? Do you think that would have counted when people were looking at a resume?
I think it would have counted as sales experience. So, like, my current role, I'm not necessarily selling, as you know. I am selling within accounts, but like my bosses, I have 2 territory managers that I work under. Their role is to go find new accounts and like onboard new doctors and new clinics. And then I'm supposed to go in there and like take care of them and then take care of all the surgeries and then patients long term.
Right.
So like my role is not necessarily opening closed doors, which I do try, but it's not like my sole role. So I'd say
you're not closing deals.
Not necessarily. I'm kind of closing deals with people who already like us.
Right.
So I would say like going into the territory manager role, I would say sales experience is huge, but like going into my role, like respectfully, I know a lot of people who are great at sales, but they wouldn't take that 6 o'clock patient phone call that I
No, that's what you were talking about earlier.
So I would say that's just a different type of role in the medical field. I mean, like Gabby James. Gabby James is killing it in the medical field, but she has no patient interaction. So there's a lot of like, other than pharmaceutical and devices, there is a lot of different, like I am very clinically involved, where Gabby is hardcore, just like 100% with the physicians and in the OR. Like that is her entire world. Oh. But she talks, like she does not even know patient names.
So is that what you're more so doing with?
Kypho. My very first job, I did not know patient names. I didn't see patients, but now I talk to patients before surgery. I pre-op them. I see them in the pre-op room. I'm in the OR. I'm in the post-op, and I'm at every single post-op at the clinic.
So then let's break it down for some differences. You mentioned Gabby. Let's give some people some shout-outs. Monica Schmiggins and Emily Willenborg. Who else?
In sales? Well, Nina's fresh into it, but I can't speak to her role yet.
Anyone else we know?
Oh, God, if I'm forgetting
someone,
I feel so bad.
It's okay. But okay, so let's talk about those 3. You 4. Because I put it together recently, your clinical specialist thing versus a sales role. Because before you switched to Exonics, you were with Boston, and the Boston role was more sales oriented. I feel it was more sales oriented now.
I would say they're almost equivalent. My old boss and I worked more parallel, I would say.
Okay, that's a good way of putting it. So with all of those...
He gave me more responsibility, which my current bosses do too. I would say I lived in a different city that my boss didn't live in. Right now I live in the same city as my bosses. So, like, they can go do everything that they want me to do. But, like, when I was in Quincy, you know, my boss Brian had me do everything up there because he knew I could do it. And he's also 2.5 hours away. So I think I sold a little bit more, but it was very similar structures in company.
So your title now is clinical specialist. What was your title with Boston?
Clinical specialist.
I
have no idea what my title was with First Care Medical.
That's okay.
I think I was just probably a vendor, just a sales representative. I think I was. It was just sales representative on my badge.
What's Monica's title?
Clinical specialist.
Who else are we talking about?
I don't know what Emily Willenborg says. She's selling.
Find out.
She is in the OR upselling because she does.
Yeah, shout out Emily. Sounds like you're killing it, girl.
She is killing it.
Emily,
you're badass. I love you.
I
need to sit
Will Ian or Ian?
Ian.
Ian.
WILLENBORG.
Seattle. Curious. Sales representative at Trace Medical Concepts. Okay, so there you go, right there. So she started as an associate sales representative, and now she's a sales representative. Shout out Em.
So she's like a territory manager.
That's what I feel like, again, and with what Nina's what Nina talked to us about, shout out Nina, was that she wanted to stay more in that clinical role. She liked
because she came from nursing.
Yeah, she liked the nursing side of it. So clarify that for people and why someone would want to get defend Nina's side and then defend the side that you and like Emily are on.
Well, I think it's the fact that
defend's the wrong word.
Nina, no, it's not wrong, but Nina comes from nursing. She comes from patient care. She comes from hands-on experience. Right. Yes, Monica as well. They come from being able to, like I said, do everything from front to end with a patient, and they can recommend things. They have all those conversations. When you're in a clinical role and you work for a medical sales company, but you're in the same environment, you don't have, like, you are the last voice in the most kindest way possible. You are the last voice with an opinion. And it's just because that's just the kind of like tier of roles.
Yeah,
like if we're
structure.
in the OR and things are happening, I'm not going to be the first person to speak up and be like, I think this is like why this is happening. However, Monica and Nina could struggle with that because they know what's happening, because they have all the knowledge of, like, I mean, anything like medical, like reactions to medicines or just anything. And like the simplicity of moving a patient in the OR, I legally cannot do. And like Nina, working in general, she was moving, lifting, 200-pound patients. That was her whole day, but we can't help. Like, I legally cannot touch a patient. And so I think there's struggles. I wouldn't say struggles because both girls are going to figure it out. But I would say going from a nursing role to like what Gabby James does, where you have no patient interaction, you're strictly just in the OR talking with physicians and nurses, which is great because you did that already. But you really don't get a patient opinion.
Yes, Gab, that was the one. Yes.
Like, you really don't get an opinion on the patient. I at least am like a patient advocate, so I know the patient. I have a relationship with them. I have a relationship with their family. I can at least advocate for them. But at the end of the day, it's not my decision, care-wise. So I would say nurses coming into it, they're just going to have a challenge of, like, they're going to have to hush all their knowledge because you don't get to have that opinion.
Hush all your knowledge. That's probably a tough hill to swallow for a lot of them.
That's
all you're used to doing.
Yeah.
I would assume.
I will get, like, a scrape on my elbow, and I call Nina, and I'm like, what's wrong?
So what would you, back to what you said, the dollar sign, let's just say they want to go to the dark side, which, I mean, I respect. It's the same thing with lawyers whenever they go corporate. Like, it's the same shit. How would you advise them to go to pick the route to go stay clinical and still stay in the
Huge for nurses.
the private realm, and you're like, hey, maybe the sales role is not for you, but just maybe go private and do the clinical role.
Well, Nina didn't go clinical. I don't know her exact. I don't know if she has LinkedIn either, so I don't think you can look
She
at that.
just added me, actually. It popped up the other day.
I told her to get a LinkedIn and start doing that.
I commented on a thing.
Nina went into
She's an account manager at Hyper.
Fine.
Yep, Hyper.
So she is still in more of a clinical role because she's in a teaching role. So she's going to be teaching nurses and physicians how to use her product. So she won't have patient interaction necessarily, but she will be in a training teaching role, which still allows her to have a lot of opinion and use a lot of her knowledge because she's talking to nurses. It's not, I don't want to say I will walk into a physician's office and I will give my opinion of hey, this patient, this is what's happening. I think this, and could be happening. But I would never say that to the patient because that's not my opinion to have the patient. But you can have these conversations with nurses and physicians. So that's what Nina's going to be able to do. So she still gets to use a lot of her knowledge in her product. Monica, I think having patient interaction is huge for her. I mean, she came from labor and delivery, so she was very hands-on with her patients.
Oh, I didn't know that.
At MOBAP. And then I think her transitioning into a role like Gabby's or M's, they have no patient interaction. They don't know anything. And I think just turning off that nurse side and that bedside manner side would be very challenging. I love it. I think that's where I'm I kind of came from. I was never going to be a nurse.
But I
feel never went my route. But I love people and
And I think that's why a lot of nurses become nurses because they want to. I can't speak for. Yeah, they want to be a caretaker.
Yeah,
and I absolutely respect the shit out of that. I mean, we need them. I wish they were paid more.
Yeah, no shit.
That's a whole different conversation.
Why do you think I keep stealing all the nurses to come work with me?
Okay, so you're obviously.
Oh boy.
You can talk to a wall, girlfriend.
I know.
It's a great thing. It's why you're great at your job. It's why you're great at sales. And to all of that, again, backpedaling, I think, and I'm curious your thoughts on, I mean, it's your nature too. You've always been that way. But you working at the lake and were you waitress?
Yeah, I wasn't of age.
Server? Mm-hmm. And that daily interaction, I can't say those people are your patients. No. But you were working with a wide range of people. You never know their attitude. You never know what it's going to be like. And that daily interaction of building that, I guess you could call it tough skin, and the conversation skills. Have you felt that was important in your development towards this role and how you've become?
I think everyone should have a waitressing job.
I thought the same thing.
Everyone should deal with the public.
I have read a few things about if you want to get into sales, go work in fucking hospitality.
Yes, work in a restaurant, work in a bar.
I've heard this.
Because you don't have any control of anything.
Am I in line with that? I feel like that's the people that you see. You have no clue how they're going to be.
You have no control. You have no control of anything because, also, as much as you think that you know your entire kitchen staff and bartenders and everything, you really are just controlling what you can control.
It forces you to be extroverted too.
Yes, but it also can you have to be very
adaptable.
Yes, but what's the word? Multitasking and yes, adaptable, but also very go with the flow because 100 things could be going on.
And you got to keep 6 pages.
You could have
open.
a really angry table, and then you turn around and you have to be a ray of sunshine because you don't want to have another angry table. I think everyone should work in as a waitress or something with the public because it does teach you a lot of personalities. And I mean, the Lake of the Ozarks has a lot of personalities.
Exactly.
And I definitely recommend. I would say it did help. I wouldn't say. I'd say it confirmed me wanting to work with the public. We always knew. I knew as a kid. My parents would know. I wasn't going to be able to sit behind a desk and be on phones. I needed to be hands-on in front of people, moving and grooving at all times, or I would lose my mind. So I think that definitely confirmed that for me because I was on my feet 24/7, talking, meeting new people all the time. Shout out Emily because that was one of the greatest summers ever.
Yeah, it seems like it.
And then we worked at the dock. That's also same, like working on the gas dock with so many people. Every day. Yeah.
That's that was something that pissed me off about, speaking to your point, like the forced interaction. And like if you want to get into sales, I guess that's a tip right there for people that are in college or they don't know what they want to do. They want to get in sales, whatever. That was something that pissed me off about people that went to Mizzou and that did business. What was the internship class?
BA 4500.
Yeah, that one.
Speaking of that, my BA 4500, the company I worked for, there was a cup in the hospital I was working at today.
Oh, that's funny. You saw it again?
And I looked at it and I was
probably hadn't seen that since.
No, and I was like, well, they're
what
gone.
What internship?
Mid-Sci.
Oh, no
off
way.
Vance
Then
Road. It was a Mid-Sci cup. And
that's
I was
funny.
like staring at it.
Were you like putting together like marketing materials and all that shit?
Yeah, for like lab testing.
That's
things.
funny. Mm-hmm. They're not around anymore?
I mean, they're not at the same location they were at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
like because their place is right by Grandma's place, and they're no longer on that road. It's like a construction company or something.
So it's what you were saying earlier, and how biology, business, etc., doesn't really prepare you for anything. That's something that pissed me off about for people who don't know, I had to go through 3 BA 4500 internships. Mm-hmm. First one, what happened with the first one? Oh, it was sales. It was solar sales. It was this place called Energy Link. And I accepted the internship. I was awesome. I was like, yeah, I want to do sales when I graduate. Like it was a startup. Seemed like a great opportunity. It was in Columbia. I wanted to live in Columbia. Accepted it. And then when I went to the Office of Administration, whoever approves your internship, they're like, nope, sorry, sales internships aren't allowed. And I was like, well, that's what I want to do. Second one was I knew I wanted. Did it
have to be in your field? Is that why
no,
mine was like a marketing?
Yeah.
Yours was
considered marketing, but I was literally making cold calls.
Well, I was not like totally doing probably what my BA required.
Well, that's what a lot of people bullshitted it. But it was straight up like I was all I was going to be doing was cold calls. Mm-hmm. And like I was cool with that. I'd done it before. I was like, yeah, cool, that's what I want to do. I feel like I should learn it now, internship, whatever. Shot down. Second one, I was doing finance and real estate. They said the company was too small, and I was like, well, I don't plan on working for a big company. I plan on working for a small shop. Every real estate shop, yeah, there's national companies, but like if you work for a brokerage, I mean, it's like commercial brokerage. It's like 20, 30 people or less, and they're like, nope, sorry, not enough people. So then the third one finally happened. Where was I going with this? That's what people that are like the sitting behind the desk thing with your internship and like your forced college classes, your forced college internships, whatever you want to call it. I think that's a great point, is that if you want to have the 4 skills to know if you're going to be able to not only be able to do it, make yourself be able to do it, get the skills to be able to do it, is if you're in college, go be a server.
That is a regret I have. I should have been a server
be a waitress
in our college town.
Yeah.
It also teaches you, not that I'm like money hungry or anything, but your hard work is immediately rewarded.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
It's like
you see what you put in.
Yes, like you're putting in exactly what you're getting out.
I think that's...
And I love that aspect of it because I knew tables and people that I was like, oh, okay, like if I can make this table really happy, like they'd probably tip me very well.
Right.
And I had people come back.
Crowd. That's all sales is.
They'd come back and they'd sit at my tables, my sections, and
that's like us with Tyson. When we go to Peel, like the dude's he's a killer at his job. Shout out Tyson. I don't think he fucking knows what this is. Yeah, Peel and Clayton.
Send it to him.
Yeah, we'll clip it and send it to him. Mm-hmm. We went to Peel for our first time just randomly, and he was our bartender, and he
knocked it out of the
obviously the food was great, but he was just such a tremendous experience with like his personability and everything that we were like, we gotta go see this guy again.
Yeah, so now he's our favorite human. We actually did our engagement
photos. Yeah, we included him in our engagement photos.
We had him make margaritas and be in the background.
But like the skills that he's learned at Peel, I don't know how old he is. The skills that he's learned at Peel, if he ever would want to get into sales, he would be. Mm-hmm. He would not need he would need training on the product, and he would be selling day one.
Well, and that's to round this all back. That is the main thing. Like, I can unlock the door for you, but if you can't sell yourself and you can't be like personable and loyal and trustworthy and have, which I know in college this word is overused, but it is so accurate. But if you don't have grit in a sales role,
really, remember you said grit. That's true, though.
It
It
is true,
is.
though.
You have
That
tough
word,
skin.
like, was tossed around all the time, and I'm like, whatever. Like,
You have to.
That doesn't matter. But then you, like, look up, you Google grit, and you, like, hear all these things, and you're like, yeah, you have to have that.
Let's find out what the definition of grit is.
But-
That's fun to compare out of your mouth. Grit, small. Nope, that's not it. Courage and resolve, strength of character. That's, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
In
so, like,
psychology,
I can open a door for you, but you have to sell yourself. And, like, to that exact point, Tyson can sell himself and, like,
in a heartbeat,
be friends with anybody and have a conversation with anybody. I mean, we literally had dinner with him and our photographer during our engagement photos because we love him so much. But I think that's a huge thing that you would learn in working in.
tough skin.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't cry when you work at a
If
bar.
someone sends a drink back, you can't be pissed at them.
No, you can't. And people are not nice.
No.
No, people are not nice, especially not at the Ozarks.
Humans are nice. People are mean.
That's interesting.
People as a conglomerate. This little blurb here. In psychology, grit is a positive, non-cognitive trait based on a person's perseverance of effort combined with their passion for a particular long-term goal or end state. This perseverance of effort helps people overcome obstacles or challenges to accomplishment and drives people to achieve. That's exactly it. Like if you don't have grit, you're not gonna
Excel in sales.
Yeah, have fun. Have fun.
Respectfully. Which is funny because I had no tough skin as a child. I like cried at the.
I give you
someone
tough skin.
Looked at me wrong, but I'm much better now.
You're getting
much
there.
better.
You're working on it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not tough around you. I don't need to be tough around you.
That's right.
Yeah.
With at Mizzou and with all of that, you and Jay started or took over the Health Industry Sales
Took
Club.
over. Well, we
Restarted it?
No, it was a thing, but we revamped it. It kind of became a thing that just like, which I think is happening to it right now. Respectfully, I don't know. I should look into it. It just kind of like
I was curious if
dwindled
you've
away.
like looked back at it, reached out to him or anything.
I have not. It dwindled away into like a very, very small group of people. Like I would say like less than 20.
Because our senior year got up to 40, 50 people.
Yeah, at least. And
Maybe
then
the
Jay
year
went
after
in,
it got
Jay
really
invited
big.
me.
Yeah. Because we went back that one time and gave a little
Spiel.
presentation.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
I was thinking about that today.
I worked for Skyline. It would be so much cooler for me to go do it now.
You worked for Skyline. Yeah, because I talked about Balto.
Skyline E3, that was my first job out of college.
Okay, so the sales club. How and the sales competitions and those, like, I don't call them forced, but those, like, forced networking events.
I think I would have done some things different. So I actually never was in a sales competition, and I'm going to be so honest. I was scared out of my mind to do a sales competition. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to take an opportunity away from one of the students to be able to do it.
Oh, my God.
So that was my way that I never did it. I never did one. Jay won one. I never did one. I was vice president.
That was your rationale, was not to take away from someone else?
That was my way, my loophole of being a chicken. Yeah. No, it's bad. Like, I would
Your
say.
excuse to be a good person?
Yes. I would say that's bad because, like, I definitely should have put myself on the spot on those types of things. I think I would have done really well at it. I think I was just too scared to do so, which is weird. However, it's coming back to me. Oh, what I would do different. I actually liked the networking events because no one knew each other. Usually you came with, like, one other person, and typically Jay or I or whoever else we had on, like, our exec team, like Taylor, those people, we could separate them from groups, and then, like, by the end of it, the pair that walked in together are not hanging out together. So it's like that alone is huge.
Like make the pledge brothers sit apart from each other kind
Yes,
of a thing.
like, but it wasn't something that was forced. We never, like, said, like, oh, if you came with them, don't sit with them. But it was one of those things that just naturally we would start talking to people, and then people would get comfortable, and then they would disperse and, like, talk with other people. And I just think the ability to do that and have conversation with not randoms, because, I mean, we all go to school together. We're all walking the same footsteps. But that is huge. Just the ability to walk into a room that you don't know people and talk, especially when we had, like, business people come in. That was huge. I think I would have done way more events of that. Like, I wish they knew us now and had us back there, because, like, we are the next generation of today and like having conversations with all those students right now in the role that I'm in right now, I think would be very beneficial.
In the world for what's that, 5-6 years,
mm-hmm.
versus the people that are a year or two out.
Well, and like the groups that we had in there were like our dads, respectfully, and our friends' dads, and you know they were just older generations, which are wealth of knowledges, but they're not walking into the same doors that we are. So it's the conversations that I'm having to get into their door is a very different than the one they had, respectfully, 30, 40 years ago. Like, I think we are more beneficial to them.
That's fair. I agree.
I wish I did more of that. Like, I wish I found more fresh 5, 10, 15 years into the professional medical field.
Rather than 30 years into it. That's something that everything that I listen to and read about, and like the whole shtick with this podcast is to put out and provide the value and the information for yourself 2, 3, 5 years ago, like what you needed to hear, because that's way more valuable. To your point, exactly. It's like they can, wealth of knowledge. They can spew for 4 hours. But you really only need to know the little tidbits. It's like, hey, just go get a sales position for a year or two.
Well, and that's the hard part is like I can talk to people who are in the medical field, but they've been there for 20 years. Like the way they got in the door is very different than how I'm going to get in the door. So like, yes, I love talking to like my mom's boyfriend, John, is an absolute wealth of knowledge in the medical field. He's been in it for
shout out John Sigmund,
2 decades.
Killer.
Not to put an age on you. And he's killing it, but it's like how he got into the door. Like he told me his story, and it's like it's very different. He's like, it took me 8 years to get where you are right now, and it's just the difference of.
And how you got into it when you got into it is different than how the kids are getting into it now.
Correct.
It's completely different.
But it's much closer.
Absolutely.
Than our parents. So it's like I just think, and I would just tell people like, I think. I get not bullied, but, everyone jokes. Like, you can talk to anybody. You can talk to a wall.
It's a good thing. It's a good trait about you. That's why I love you.
Listen, I know what all my friends' parents do, and that was something that I was, like, raised to know as a child. Like, be nice to your friends' parents. You never know. Be nice to your friends' parents.
Never know. Never know.
You never know. So I think that's huge. I think I would tell my high school, like, anyone that I was talking to that's younger than us, even in college.
That's what you
talk to parents and siblings. Be nice to people's siblings.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because they're only 3 doors ahead of you.
Yeah.
Like they're right there.
Yeah, the siblings. That's the sibling part is.
Which I love that Mackenzie's friends reach out to me because like I'm this close. Like I really could help them. Like I'm only so far away from opening that door.
That's what like I'll never give. Well, it's not that. Like, I hope that one day I can open a door for Joe or one of Joe's friends or one of my buddies. Like, whether it's because of real estate, my job, this.
Someone.
Golfing or somebody. It's like, it's like I have a buddy looking for a new job, and I reached out to him the other day. I was like, hey, my other buddy was a recruiter for X amount of years. He does a hell of a job. He'll happily look at your resume. And he was like, holy shit, like, thanks. And I was like, yeah, man, like.
Okay, that means a lot to people. Like, just having that smidge of, comfort to talk to someone who's either done it or is in it is huge. I mean, for example, you giving Tommy Kevin's, we are shouting out so many
It doesn't matter. The fucking 10 people listen to this. Hi, precious.
You giving Tommy Kevin's information, like if they wanted to connect and talk, it's just like being like when you're trying to make it down that same path, talking to someone who's in it or has been in it is very comforting.
Right, because that exact point, Tommy, hey, looking for a job. Tommy's fresh out of college. He's looking for a job. I was like, yeah, talk to Kevin. He's in construction, he's in masonry. Give him a shout. Whether or not Kevin has a job available, he meets Tom. He's like, wow, great kid. I'm not looking. Guy I work with is, though. Maybe you should call him.
That's what I'm saying. 10 years down the road, you're like, not even 10 years, but, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I know so-and-so's little, sister's boyfriend. Great kid. And then you reach out, and things like that happen all the time.
I just had another thought about that. That's what in our process, our simultaneous process of getting laid off and finding new jobs. I think personally, I feel like I don't want to speak for you. I'm curious your thoughts. That getting laid off from that first job, because a lot of people will take the first job and they're like, yeah, like, I don't know what I want to do. And now we both know a lot of people looking for new jobs.
We were the first of any of our friends to lose our jobs. Like, we lost our jobs before, like, a month before everyone. Yeah. A month before unemployment became a thing. It was March.
Not even a year into
our roles.
Graduating.
Yeah.
I think that getting laid off was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I agree. I've told you that. I don't think I would still be at the company that I went into post-graduation, but I definitely don't think I would be this advanced into my medical device role.
If you had stayed there.
If I didn't get, like, pushed
and
to do so.
To relay that back with the resume thing, like a lot of people have been in their roles 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah, I know a lot of friends who are still with the same company they graduated with.
And they haven't thought about a resume since they walked the stage and they accepted that job. And now they're like, yeah, maybe I want to entertain something. And they have no clue. They think they can update the resume, but that whole thing has changed. And they're like, I don't know what to do here. I'm just going to start shooting out resumes. And I think it's really upsetting to hear about people that are in that kind of situation, because I feel like a lot of people are afraid to ask for that extension of a hand. It's like, hey,
because it's something where it was like, I should know how to do this.
Right,
but
exactly.
also, like, no, you shouldn't.
And they've progressed
the expectations change.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And they've progressed so far.
I mean, my resume has a picture on it. Yeah. No one would have ever told me to put a picture on my resume when I was in college. Mm-hmm. But then now in this field, like, it worked in my favor. And
if XYZ doesn't line up for you and you think it does and it doesn't, and then, like, you're not taught how to look for a new job. You're never
taught how to look for a new job.
You're not taught how to network and ask people, hey, is there an opening here?
Okay, but that's why you always should be friends and be nice to your friends' parents and their friends and their siblings and stuff, because you just never know when an opportunity comes up, or you never know when you're done with a chapter of a role or a job or something. And like, I don't feel like any of our friends, I do know a lot of our friends who are, like, burnt out in roles, but typically, personally, I don't think burnout is what's going to push them out the door. I think an opportunity arising alongside with them being burnt out is what gets people out a door. Like, they're on the edge of burnout, and then all of a sudden this, their friend's sibling's husband or something is like, hey, I know someone who does that or does something similar, and, like,
right,
what do you think about this? You should talk to them. And then that's how they, like, transition roles. For instance, Katie killed it at Commerce.
Oh, yeah.
Crushed it. She liked it. Katie Camden, that's weird. She loved it, but then this opportunity arose at Diversified Ingredients, which is Gabby James's dad's company, and it was just, like, a phenomenal opportunity. And Katie's like, I will kill it in that role. And Katie does kill it in that role. Like, it's things like that. Like, I don't think Katie would have seeked. I don't know if she was seeking, so I don't want to speak for Katie, because maybe she was seeking to leave. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to say that she was, like, like, left Commerce and was like, I'm out.
Right.
And then found this job.
Actively.
Like, I think the worlds collide and everything comes together at the right time.
That goes back to the whole grit thing, though. Is, like, I feel like a lot of people.
You got to be adaptable. It's a whole new.
A lot of people
crowd.
Don't like a job 3, 4, 6 months into it. And it's like, hey, just stick it out. Don't quit. Always be looking. Keep every door open. You never know.
My LinkedIn is always active. If a company told me I couldn't have an active LinkedIn, I would.
Yeah, that's a red flag. Always be looking.
Have it active. Now, granted, I'm not, like, taking them in every day, but I mean, I keep my eyes looking at them sometimes.
I don't like, whether it could be any position. You could be like me as an example. Like, I'm in real estate. If someone came up to me and was like, hey, insurance gig open, and no, I'm not interested, but I'll field the phone call, because that way you keep your interviewing skills up to par and you're up to date on the environment and the nature of everything that's going on.
Okay,
And then after
worse.
one phone call, like, hey, I'm sorry, thanks for your time, not interested.
Well, and worst comes to worst, you just made a really good impression on that person. They probably wanted you for next phone call, and now that's a connection that down the road you could be like, I actually know that person.
Yeah.
Just saying, you gotta be nice to everybody. That's why I'm so nice to everybody.
You're nice to everybody.
In case one day they give me a job.
You never know. You never know.
You never know. Especially parents. I can't preach that enough. I just feel like all of our parents help us so much, and you just don't realize that.
That's something in my job search that I did not take full advantage of was
you do it so old school. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You apply to so much stuff online traditionally
I
with
never
the resume.
think to,
and the amount of cover letters you have written blows my mind.
Yeah.
I have probably written 4 cover letters in my whole life.
And that's what, reaching out to people, it's I'm preaching it, but, I didn't start doing that until, this, I don't want to say I'm looking for a new job, but.
No fear.
No, it's fuck it. Whatever. But, I didn't, right out of school, whether you're in a fraternity, you're in a sales club, you're in fucking Joe with his car club, you're in whatever. There are so many connections with that if you don't try and meet everybody and when you're looking for something, ask for the helping hand. Because you never know what you are 3 phone calls away from the president of Enterprise at any given time. You have no idea.
Are we going to go with that concept where, you're 7 people
Yeah,
away from
but it's
anyone
true.
It is true. And I
people
find
you
that
played
in my
sports
roles all
with,
the time.
old coaches, old high school teachers.
You just never know who knows
your
who.
your parents' neighbors, your best friend, your best friend's parents' neighbors, etc.
Well, the other day, I ran into one of the nurses I work with all the time. I love her. I wish I could recall her last name, but I'm not going to, I don't know her enough that I'm going to give her.
No, we don't say names.
We've dropped 20 of our best
Yeah,
friends'
but if
names.
it's not our, it's not.
Okay, so one of the nurses I work with, I've worked with her for a long time. I worked with her with Kyphos. I worked with her with Boston, and now I work with her here. And give or take, I worked with her. And the other day, she literally just noticed me because she travel nursed with Nina. She worked on the floor with Mercy.
Oh, that's
funny.
funny.
Nina, and she was like, "Oh my God, you know Nina." And it's one of those things where it's I'm all the way out in Lake St. Louis. Nina hasn't even lived here for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And it's just a connection. But now it's really nice because I have a home-based nurse that I know will help me because now we have this friendly connection. She was always a good nurse before, and then she was spectacular. But now I'm BFFs with her, and I know I can trust her and ask her questions if needed.
You'd reach out to her.
Yeah. But also that's just a connection I have through. And she actually noticed that because she follows Kelsey, and she saw Kelsey's post of me and Nina in it. So it was a whole circle. Again,
you're fucking 3 people away from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. So, yeah, perfect example. You never know who you know. You never know who you know until you know. People have no idea who they know. They could call me. I could call you. You could call Kelsey. Who fucking knows what connection she can make there?
Mm-hmm.
I could call an old lacrosse coach, an old football coach. He knows a coach at fucking...
Your father has more connections probably than anyone we know. Your dad, I feel we could just connect with anyone over the entire country.
Yeah, right there.
Everybody.
That's what most people... Because when someone's in business, let alone anyone's parents that have been in business for 30 years... Mm-hmm. Amount of phone calls they've had 10,000 phone calls. They've shook 10,000 hands.
We're really digging holes of fun facts here. But for example, you know how many people have used my mom to close on houses, and just simply because it's my mom, and my mom is spectacular, and so it's just
I use it for everything.
Yeah, it's oh, Brittany's mom owns a title company. I'm now that we're all in that age, everyone's just oh, Brittany's mom.
Yep.
And it's just that connection. And I've had people I've had friends that I don't talk to anymore from high school use my mom and be oh, it was Nancy Burnett.
It's a good feeling.
It is. And my mom takes care of them. I mean, she takes care of all of her people, but especially, my people.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious with all of this in your sales and the experience you've had, whether it's your personability, your communication skills, the grit and being tolerant and the need for helping people, which one do you think sticks out the most to you that helps you succeed in what you do?
You are never the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
And I definitely am not. I mean, I am in a hospital. There are surgeons around me. However, I am the expert in my field, so I'm always very confident in what I'm doing, but I'm also always willing to learn. I'm always taking the back seat and like asking questions that, are appropriate. I don't want to ask a question that makes me look like I don't know what I'm talking about that is directly involved with my product. But I'm never the smartest person in the room. I always ask questions, always be respectful. That's just one thing, like, just be respectful of the people around you. You have no idea what they're going through and what their role is. But I would say I'm always eager to learn. Always. Like, you never know it all.
Any facet.
Like, I would say I'm an expert at my product, but I would say I'm not. Like, I can always learn more.
That's good.
Same with internally. Like, I use a lot of my internal sources because...
What do you mean by internal sources?
Like my teammates, because the weird part about which you have the same situation. Like I'm not hanging out with my teammates. I maybe see one of my teammates maybe once a week in person. Like,
yeah, right.
I see my surgeons and my patients and the staff in the OR tenfold than I see my actual teammates. Like, I don't ever hang out with them. I talk to them on the phone too much, but I don't hang out with them. And so I would say that is something, excuse me, the wine's making me bubbly. That is something you have to learn, is the communication of building a relationship that is personal so that you can excel in a work relationship via phone. That is a challenge. Like, I am one of those people that, like, I want to know you on a personal level so that I can work with you professionally. And we know, like, I can read your mood and, like, we can communicate properly. Yeah, because communication, I mean, we know this day, everyone sucks at communication. No one knows how to talk to one another. And so, like, imagine doing that over the phone as your full-time job. They're, like, when I first started my job, I had met my boss in person, like, one time, and it was almost a month after I started the job. Like, I didn't even interview with him in person. And it's not like you're going to the office and you're hanging out with your team every day. Like, I am trying to build rapport, calling about cases and patients. So it's like you have to figure out how to build personal relationships.
Smile when you dial.
Yes, but also just the personal relationships internally in hospitals. Like, those are the people I see every day. I really have to be...
Yeah, you got to be in your A game.
Well, that, and I want to build relationships with them because they see me all the time, too. I mean, I'm over at Lake St. Louis, 2-3 times a week? Like, I want those people to enjoy my presence because my presence is quite often there. And so I would say you're never the smartest. Like, always be willing to learn. Always be willing to, like, ask questions when appropriate. And then, like, just be kind. Just be nice to people. Talk to people. Make friendships. I mean, I try to be friends with everybody. Those are two things that'll get you far. Of course, know your shit. Like, always, like I said, just always be, like, bettering yourself and your product. Like, our product, our company innovates all the time. Like, we get text messages that are pretty cool with innovation.
You better stay on top of it.
Yeah, because the worst thing that can happen is your doctor knows something before you do. And then you want to crawl in a hole.
Because then you're scrambling.
And die. Because you're like, no, that's not a thing. And they're like, well, you just released that on LinkedIn. And you're like, oh, that has not happened to me. But I know that could possibly happen.
That's prevalent.
So those are my things. Always learn. Be nice. Humble and kind.
Always be humble and kind.
I like that song.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I might dance to that at our wedding.
What would you tell to people that say they don't know what they're doing?
Like, in general?
Like, they're trying to find something they want to do.
Like, just in complete general, like someone telling you?
Like, you finding that you loving med sales in the medical field.
Well, I think I'll be a little redundant in this, but, like, figure out what makes you happy. Like, people make me happy. Talking to people makes me happy. And I just decided that medically I wanted to talk to people. So I'd say things like that. But it's also hard. Like, you think of some of the roles some of our friends are in, and I'm like, I doubt numbers make her happy. But
Yeah.
she's in accounting or finance or whatever they're in. So it's like, I don't know. I think we're also so young. Like when you were thinking about,
Yeah, we're in our 20s.
when you were trying to find jobs after losing your job, going into real estate, like you just knew it was something you were actually interested in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think lean into it, because right now we don't have kids. We have a house now, but we didn't have a house before. And like, we have so many options to be risky right now. So I would say take the risk now rather than sitting pretty for a few years and then you're stuck and you've got, I'm not saying you're stuck when you have kids, but there's a lot of more responsibilities. You can't really take the riskiest route. So figure out what actually makes you happy.
I agree. I'm a big believer in risk.
Yeah, especially at this age.
No risk, no
You can
reward.
take so many risks.
And I think all of the reward is in the risk.
Bigger the risk, bigger the reward.
Yeah, and I don't think you're ever going to find satisfaction if you don't take some sort of risk, whether it's in your day-to-day job, in your field.
I think people are scared of change.
Yeah, they are. Because they don't know anything different, and they find comfort, and it's tough to get out of comfort. It's really, really tough to get out of comfort.
Did you tell me that one time? When you get comfortable, get uncomfortable? Like, once you get too comfortable, get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Someone's told me that before, and I was like,
Yeah,
keep that
absolutely. Because growth you find growth in uncomfort. You got to get out of your comfort zone. That's the whole thing. And you find growth outside of your comfort zone. And once you're comfortable, you're fucked.
Yeah,
Then you're not developing, you're not learning, you're not experiencing new things.
Not challenging.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I was literally about. You're not challenging yourself.
Not to make this flip into a relationship conversation, but that is something I love about you, is that you don't like to be comfortable. You always like to challenge yourself. We're going to have to fix this fly situation down here. Tito.
He's right here.
Go get that fly.
Thank you.
But, it's always so cheesy that people are like, date someone who makes you the best version of yourself. But, like, I wouldn't say that you by any means are trying to change me, but you are always trying to become, like, the next best version of yourself, which inspires me to do so.
Thank you, girlfriend.
And, like, doesn't make me just want to be like, oh, I'm comfortable. Like, I'm doing well. I'll stay pretty. Like, you're always trying to be better, and you're always trying to learn.
I think it's important. I think you get bored.
You love to learn.
My favorite, like literally my favorite thing is trying new things. If there's nothing new to try, I will go crazy. I love going new places. I love doing new things.
You love to learn and experience.
Yeah, if it's something I've never done before, yeah, let's do it. I might hate it. I don't care.
But I won't know until I try.
Yeah, I gotta find out.
That is something, like, anytime I've said something like no to something, you're like, well, how do you know? And I'm like, because I just feel that way. And you're like, well, you don't know then. And I'm like, fine, then let's do it.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. If I can try it, I don't know. Sure, I hate it. Spit it out.
No, I don't ever hate food. I like all food.
That's good.
Yeah. See, that wasn't that sappy of a conversation, like relationship conversation. Are you going to catch this fly or what?
What do you think, Hansel? I did have a question. That is something that I was curious your thoughts on, relationship-wise.
Oh, boy.
It's not about our relationship, but
I
about
got to itch my ear.
kind of what we're talking about with how you've grown, how we've grown, maybe how you think that I've grown, and in people in our situations, moving in together, buying houses, getting engaged, taking next steps in the relationship. There's something that I always heard, and I want to know your thoughts, because you moved in with me.
Mm-hmm.
And you moved away, but when you moved back, again, you moved back in with me. We never moved into a new place. Mm-hmm. And that was something that I've heard after the fact, was that if you do move in together, you should move into a new place together. Like when the time comes, if you've never lived together and you're buying a house, now's the time to move in together. If it's, the spring or the fall, whatever. It's like, hey, do we move in together? Like, we're pretty serious. Next summer, both of you break your lease, find a new apartment, and move in together. What are your thoughts on that?
I would say that was a challenge, and I'm not going to, spill our beans.
No, I'm
to
difficult.
The world.
I know I am.
However, moving into someone's space is very challenging. And, like, we've talked about this bajillion times, and I would tell any of our friends this. But when we graduated, Jack and I both moved home you and I both moved home back into our parents' house. And we'd been dating for, 2 years? Year and a half?
Yeah. Probably
so we graduated in May.
When we graduated?
A year and a half.
Something like that.
Yeah.
2 years, something like that.
So when we graduated, I was like, you were very much like, I want to get out right now. But you're like, I'm going to try to, stay with my parents to the end of this year and then move out. But that didn't happen. You moved out very quickly.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, then, I'm going to move out very quickly. Even though, I was very prepared to live with my mom, but I had just assumed, you moving out meant I was moving out. And you were like, no, I want to live alone. And that crushed me because I was like, why? I was like, why would he not want to live with me? I've told you this before.
Does he not love me?
And I was like, he does not love me. This is over. And so when you moved out, then you lived alone. And, of course, I was over there all the time. I had a bunch of stuff over there. Skyline was on the way, so I lived over there all the time, whatever. Then I ended up moving in that post-holiday season before COVID.
So for people that want to keep track, we graduated in May of 19. We both lived at home. I got my first apartment January of 2020. COVID happened. I stayed in the apartment that all of 2020. You moved in around Christmas time.
Prior to COVID.
No.
No?
During COVID. Because
I
moved into the apartment January of 2020. And then 3 months later, lost a job.
Yeah, that's right, because we did quarantine together. That was quite the test.
And then I lived by myself for a whole year, basically.
And then I moved in that holiday season.
You moved in, between Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever.
Of 2020. Mm-hmm. So that was, I would say moving in, was fine. We lived together, we cohabitated very well. But there was always the challenge of, this is your space. And so,
because it was my apartment.
Correct. And so suggesting changes and making, so you gonna yak over here? Suggesting changes and disliking some of the things that you did.
The bachelor pad?
Yeah.
The frat pad with the TV on the ottoman?
So many things in that house. And I felt out of place doing it because it was your place, and I felt that you can't really complain about you allowing me to come in and split room with you. Then, 2021,
then you moved again.
I got offered my job, and I
moved to Quincy.
pieced out to Quincy within, I think it was 9 months of us living together, not even.
You're 6.
Yes, and then I got this new job, and I got offered, and I had to move to Quincy, Illinois, which is 2 hours north of
You're
where
gone
we're
for
from.
a year?
To the date, nearly, almost exactly.
Yeah.
And to round it back to the part of you not loving me and not wanting to live with me, I had no idea the benefits of living by yourself.
Yeah.
Until I lived by myself for a year, I was like, holy shit, this is what Jack needed. This is what Jack wanted. I needed this. And I would say, I'm not spilling our beans, but the 6 months of us living together, one, it was post-COVID. Those were hard. We didn't totally know how to cohabitat, and we were fine because we were so busy with new jobs, but it was tough. And didn't know how to. I didn't want to change things, but I did want to change things because it's my house too. And those months weren't. I mean, they weren't bad, but they weren't ideal. And then I would say, moving back from Quincy, we were much better at communicating, and then now living in this house, and now that it's both our space, just night and day. We did great in that apartment, but I would say
we gave it our best.
This is so much more fun.
Yeah. So people, I moved out. I lived alone. She moved in.
Moved out.
She moved out.
Moved in.
And then when she moved back to St. Louis, she moved back in. So, she was in my place for 6 months. we tried to make it our place, and then she left, and so it was like, okay, well, it's my place again, because we didn't know your timeline.
No.
We thought it was going to be 18 months, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
And luckily, it was a year.
Yeah.
I don't say luckily.
Yeah, but
luckily, it was a year.
Yeah, almost to the date.
And so then you move back, and it was like, well, okay, Jack, this is now our place again. And I think that people, I agree with you. I think it is. I don't want to necessarily say that everyone should live.
I think everyone should live alone at one point.
I think living alone is very. I think it's.
You find out things about yourself. There's such a source of independence. Oh my God! You have
to do everything. Everything.
Yeah, and like respectfully, like when you leave for the weekend, I'm like, this is solo time. Like there's just something so like
when you're going this weekend, I'm gonna get stuff done.
It's so comforting though to like be so comfortable alone. Not that I was like uncomfortable being alone, but there's a different extent to it. Like when you live with your parents, like you're never really alone. And so I never understood it. Not that I held a grudge, but
and
in the back of my mind, I was butthurt that you didn't want to live with me. And then once I moved to Quincy, I was like, wow, this is what he needed. I needed this. I totally respect it.
Because you really get to know yourself. And like
and you're in charge of everything. Like you feed, you clean, you like, and that sounds so ground level, but I feel like until you do it, like your sister's learning that right now. Like Kennedy's like, whoa. And like she has a dog. Like there's just so many things. Like you are fully responsible for your 24-hour day. And that sounds so cheesy, but there's
no roommates to bitch out with the dishes in the sink.
There's just like, and there's no mom to clean up after you. Like it's just, this is all you. It's also a powerful feeling.
That's when people are like, yeah, I moved out, but I have a roommate. It's like, that's amazing, and I'm super happy for you. And I think that's important. I think moving out is very important. Mm-hmm. But living on your own is a whole, like, solo dolo.
Yeah, if you have the capabilities to do so, which in this time of
now when was that? Oh my gosh, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. It's a completely different ballgame. It's unbelievably different now. And living alone's, I don't want to say it's not as realistic, but it's kind of not as realistic anymore.
No, it's not. It's so freaking expensive to live, especially where we lived. Richmond Heights, Clayton area is not. It's a pretty penny.
But like we know, I have plenty of friends. You have plenty of friends that live in different cities, have moved to different cities, have lived in different cities, and they lived alone, and they love it. Mm-hmm. They love it.
Yeah.
And there's people that have had roommates, and now they live alone. Like, I'm not getting a roommate again. I'm not getting a roommate again.
I mean, I had friends that.
I love my roommates. My roommates are my best friends. You're my best friend.
You're shaking the table.
But it is.
You're my best friend too.
It is such a different ballgame. And I think that's. I don't think that people appreciate the growth you have together.
The growth that you have. Like,
I think they underappreciate the growth you're gonna have with that.
Yeah.
Because you now
well, that's the thing. Traditionally, my grandma, oh, God.
She was not happy.
Died.
She was not happy.
We moved in together. And I think that's wild, like, getting married to someone that you've never lived with or never, like, cohabitated with. Because, like, you do some things that borderline make me crazy.
Oh, my God. We
were
talking about this the other day.
How many shoes sit everywhere in our house? The wadded up socks that, like, hide in different places. Like, little things where it's like, I would have not known that until we were married. And then all of a sudden I move in and, like, I want to cry. Which are little things. But it's just, like, things like that. I'm like, how do people not live with one another until they're married? That is crazy. Because you and I have learned so much. Not only about ourselves, but like, I've learned so much about your family because I'm a part of every conversation that your family has. And, like, even before we were engaged, if you were going to dinner with your family was inviting me because we were, like, a unit. Vice versa with your friends. Like, we have blended so much of our life because cohabitating, we kind of come as a package, which also... I love that we do a lot of independent things, so we're not always a package. But it's just like it's a way that you blend your lives together that I don't think people would experience if they didn't live together.
I agree. I totally agree.
I don't know how you marry someone that you don't live with. That's crazy.
And like, let's say it doesn't work out, not us, but in general.
Today.
The proceedings that have to happen once it's all legally bounding
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, it's easier to break up when you're not married.
Yeah,
It's easier to move out when you're
than-
not married.
than a divorce. Not that I always thought that we would make it, but no, like, hear me out. When I moved out to Quincy, which I'm sure your friend said stuff too, they're like, she's just leaving. Like, she's just moving.
She's dipping, yeah.
Like, so what are you guys going to do? And I'm like, what do you mean, or what are we going to do? They're like, are you guys still together? And I'm like, of course we're still together. But, like, I obviously was head over heels in love with you, wanted to marry you at that time as well. But I knew that would make or break us. I knew that Quincy would either be, like, one of the greatest things for our relationship, or we would struggle that year apart. And we had, like, not one hiccup with Quincy. Like, Quincy was fantastic for us as a relationship because, like, you were so busy with your new career. I was so busy with my new career. We saw each other when we saw each other, and, like, we just knew, okay, like, eventually we'll be back together.
I think the longest we went was
3 weeks.
I was going to say 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because
well, the
you'd
holidays
come
hit
home,
so quickly, so I was home all the time.
And then you came home, and I'd go up there, and there was one time where, like, I was out of town, or you were out of town, and then we had to wait, like, another week after that.
Our biggest gap was right before I moved home. Like, I don't think we saw each other for, like, a month and a half, and then you ended up coming up, like, a bunch to help me pack and then move me home. Like, that was our biggest gap. It was, like, March.
I believe that.
March or April before I moved home in May.
I don't remember.
June? When did I move home? I don't remember. Yeah.
Q-Town. I love that place.
I know, we should go back. Do you have your Q-Town hat on right now?
No, I don't. I had it on earlier.
You did have it on.
I wear that hurt a lot. I like that hat.
I know.
I had fun up there.
Okay, another example. Moving to a very small town, knowing no one. Loved it. It was so. I shout out to Rachel, my landlord's wife.
Giesling?
Yeah, Giesing. Freaking love her. I mean, I will forever be friends with her and her family, and I will love them with my whole heart. But that, respectfully, I will toot my absolute horn for that one, because going to a city, I don't know many people that would have gone to a city that small and excelled the way I excelled in it.
That's another thing that I have given a lot of my buddies mad props that have moved away, post-college, since college, etc. Mm-hmm. Just as much as, I mean, it's hard-pressed for someone to move away and not know someone you're moving to this.
Well, when you move to those big cities, yeah.
Yeah,
like
you're probably, Chicago, whether it's your best friend or just someone you grab beer with, whatever, you're going to know somebody. Mm-hmm. But I think in the same nature as living alone, moving to a completely new city, like, I don't even know how to explain it, because it's like not, I don't know, moving to a completely new, like, Charlie, Dave, for example, St. Louis, Kansas City, went to school. I don't consider Columbia out of town. That's still St. Louis and KC. But then you move to Chicago or Denver, where you don't have your family's not there. You don't have, quote, home there. You don't have people there. Yes, you have a lot of friends. You have a shitload of friends there, but you are now in a completely new city. You are starting a new life. I think that is equally as, I don't want to use the word important.
Impressive.
Yeah. And speaks so much to the development and the nature of them that it's so monumental in who they become, because they now form new friend groups. Yeah. They now form new habits. They now have to become a new person. You have to completely adjust to this new place. It's like you don't have mulligans every Thursday.
No,
you don't have, like, shout out Dave. We're not watching football every Sunday with the three guys that you watch football every Sunday with. I think, and to your point with moving to Quincy, you knew nobody. You knew fucking nobody. And the town's what?
I had literally met
10,000
like 5 times.
What's the population of Quincy? 10,000 people?
I think. No, it's like 42,000.
It's pretty
not
big.
That small, yeah.
Quincy, Illinois population. 38,000 in 2022. So that's pretty big. That's smaller than Chesterfield,
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like,
It's
from St.
small.
Louis, where we're like 260.
Yeah, county is like 1 million. City's like 300-500.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's something. I would say on top of like being a waitress, if you take two things from this, be a waitress, work in health, like not healthcare, work in the public, and move away from home when you're young because you're gonna want to come back. Well, personally, I would like to have babies and stuff here, which we just put roots down in this house, so I will probably be here when we have our babies. But I'd say had I would have challenged myself more. I would have moved away. Right
I agree.
College. I think
agree.
That would have been really fun for us.
Because there was a time where people asked right out of school, like, what do you got to do? And I was like, we've had talks about going to Texas or Denver. We had real talks about that.
We did have real talks about it. And I wish we would have pushed ourselves a little bit more. Granted, I'm very happy with where we're at now, and we travel all the time. But there's something so different about, like you said, living in a new city. And like, yeah, you know, the 10 people that went to the same college as you, but that doesn't mean you feel at home and safe and like you have your people in your town. It's very different being away from your family.
That's something all my friends, you know who you are, that have moved away. I'm not going to name all of you. But I'd really like to shout out both my sisters. Because Kennedy, one, is a big homebody. Mm-hmm. Kennedy, sorry, I didn't think you're going to move out. With mom moving, different, whatever. I didn't think Kennedy was going to move out.
I love that she moved out.
Yes, and I think
she's thriving.
Yes, and I think Kennedy loves it. Kennedy, I love it for you.
Presley loves it.
I think it's fantastic, and I'm so proud of you, and I think you've learned a lot, and I think you've grown a lot. And same with Toots. Caroline, my oldest, people don't know Toots, my older sister, Caroline. Yeah, so Caroline, for people that don't know, Caroline's my older sister. She graduated Mizzou in 20.
You're so loud on this table. It's stressing.
I know, you'll hear it, and when you listen back.
I know. So stop doing.
So Caroline graduated Mizzou in 19.
You're still doing it.
Caroline was 2017. She lived at home for,
just a few months.
She moved to Madison, Wisconsin. Around New Year's, like 7 months after she graduated, with Dom, her now husband, for his job. Neither of them knew anybody. So they didn't know anybody outside of work buddies, whatever. Uprooted, started a new life, found friends, loved it. I loved Madison. Madison's amazing.
So cool.
If anyone's seen me going to
Madison, Wisconsin's insane.
And in another life, I went to University of Wisconsin. That place is sick. Mm-hmm. They did that. Caroline. They lived there for
3 years.
3 years?
She lived there for 3 years. I think he lived there more because he was there for about a year and a half before she moved there.
Probably because he moved there right out of school, so he was only there for half a year longer. And then they got married and immediately moved down to St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yeah, because Caroline got to choose the next location.
And they moved to St. Pete, Florida. Yeah. Fuck
obviously.
Fuck the North.
And they've excelled in St. Pete.
And again, I'm sure they knew someone through Instagram, whatever.
No, they knew that couple that we became friends with when we house hunted neighborhood.
No, we met them on the beach.
That's what I'm saying.
They didn't know them. Oh, yeah, we met them when we were house hunting. Yes, yeah, that's right.
They knew them when they
didn't live there yet.
No, we weren't area hunting with them.
Yes, that's right. Jake and Renee? Mm-hmm. Raquel. Mm-hmm. Raquel. Mm-hmm. Her name's Raquel. Mm-hmm. Two Raquels. That's crazy.
I don't think is it Jake? It's definitely Raquel.
Jake?
I follow Raquel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a small world.
And they moved down there, and they didn't know jack shit.
Well, and they didn't live there either. They were also area hunting, and then they ended up moving down like months or something.
Minnesota or Michigan or something.
I don't know. That's a small world. We'll dismiss that one.
Yeah, but that Caroline, it is so awesome that they did that, and they freaking love it.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get her home.
They love it, and it is so awesome, and I'm so happy for them. Because that's like, I feel like it's just I keep using underappreciated. I don't want to say underappreciated. It's I don't know.
Applaud.
Yeah.
I'm killing it with words.
You are killing it with words. They like, yeah. It's
take
tough.
That leap. I would tell people to do that. You know what? Let's round it back. Mackenzie,
Yeah.
I thought Mackenzie would live with my mother
I
for
thought
like
I
6
didn't think
years.
I thought she'd move out at 30.
I love you,
Sorry,
Mackenzie
Mac.
Reese, but you
I didn't think you were moving out
and
so
my
young.
mother, you and mom are like, they were just like two peas in a pod. Like, I thought Mackenzie was absolutely going to move back home and be cozy, snug as a bug in
Was
my
she
mother's
ever
house.
home?
No.
She
Well,
moved
maybe.
like a month?
No, I don't.
I don't think she moved home.
Anyways, she's.
She lives at the lake, for people that don't know.
My sister works for a
E&J
division.
Gallo.
Well, it's a division of E&J Gallo called Southern Glaciers. And she freaking kills it. Like, thriving, amazing, unreal. Like, Kinsey works her absolute ass off, and I could not be more proud of her. But I wouldn't have put that on my bingo card 4 years ago when Mackenzie was about to graduate from college. Like, I wouldn't have thought she would take that leap, and I am so proud of her. I would have told her to. I think when when we talked about it on the phone, I was like, do it, Kinsey. Like, this is the time to do it. And also, it's the Ozarks. We were born and raised down there. We're lake rats. And I could not be more proud of her.
But still, that's almost 3 hours from here.
Yeah.
That's not Columbia.
No, and
that's far away. That's not a day trip.
No, and I've done it in a day trip for work. That's a day trip for me. But Mackenzie's we both are such homebodies that for her to do that and take that leap and know, we have like lake goers, but the off season, like Kinsey didn't know anyone. And
right.
Like, she's made an completely friend group down
you
there.
lose half the population.
Yeah, like
probably more.
I don't know what that means. I would love to know those numbers. But it's insane, and Mackenzie just is thriving, and it's all because she just took that leap.
Same with my mom. Sorry, Mom, you probably listen to this. Shout out, Mother.
I hope my mom listens to this. I'm gonna tell my mama.
She was moved
back.
back.
We have the greatest moms in the world.
Yes, we do. Love you both. So unbelievably proud of my mom for doing that.
You won't know until you try.
Yeah, she moved away. Moved
to
back
her
for people to
hometown?
know. Yeah, moved back to where she's from. Then recently moved back to St. Louis, and you don't know until you know. That's what I don't think a lot of people understand is that you can do. My mom was gone for about a year, a little less than a year, but you can do anything for a year. You can do anything for a year, and you're like, oh my god, a year, ugh. But in the grand scheme of things, and you look back on it, it's like that's a blip. It's a blip in everything you've done. Mm-hmm. Think about your junior year of college, your junior year of high school.
We've been dating, and then think about
Quincy blip.
That was
that felt like 2 months.
That was so quick. Like when I think back at it, I'm like, I don't even remember.
No,
that was so fast.
Exactly. People. If you're thinking about doing something, fucking this podcast, and you want to become an influencer, you want to move away, you want to get into landscaping, you want to start a candle company,
all of the
you can do anything for a year. Speaking of, I gotta text Gideon. He's doing that horse race soon. I'm all about trying new things. I think if I could get You Never Know Till You Know tatted, I would. God, that'd be a cheesy ass tattoo.
I love tattoos.
Yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about that. Do people ever ask you about yours?
Yeah.
When they're showing? There's so many times where
It's rare that they're showing though.
Where I'm at Lifetime, or wherever. It's usually Lifetime because that's where the most skin is showing for most people.
Mm-hmm.
That I catch them catching me.
Staring
at their tattoos. So I'm trying to make out, because, it's a sleeve, or it's something on the back of their calf, or, it's like small, and I can't see it from 20 feet away. So I'm trying to make out what it is. And I wonder, do people ever ask you what that is? Randomly? People don't know, people coming up to you at the gym and asking you about tattoos?
Well, mine is so little. You don't see mine unless I'm in a bikini, except for the one on my arm here.
That's a good point.
And this one's still so small. I would say that, my doctor asked me about this the other day because I stand with my arms out in surgery holding a CP. And so he noticed it, immediately.
Yeah.
So he asked me about it. However, I would say I would never get stopped for this one. I did get asked by someone at the pool with my mom, but it was a friend of my mom. So it's not a random came up to me, but they were like, oh, what do your tattoos mean? But no, my tattoos are little, so there's not as much appeal to mine.
For someone that has them, if I were to see a guy,
Ask.
if I were to see a guy doing curls, I'm curious about his tattoos. Like it just.
Maybe not in the gym. People are weird about that.
Really?
Well, no.
If it's guy to guy.
No, you're just at the gym. People don't like to talk at the gym.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
But I'm saying always. I ask. I love tattoos. I will absolutely ask. Like, I'll ask a bartender, like, what that tattoo means, or like. A lot of my patients, I have a handful of patients that have, some very
unique
interesting tattoos.
Bartender's a good one.
Yeah, like I will always ask someone.
Or a waitress, waiter, server.
Yeah. I love tattoos. I will always ask, like, why do you have that? Especially if I don't know what it means. Like, shout out to the Mulligan's waitress that has Optimus Prime tattooed on her arm. That's
really?
Like the Optimus Prime signal. Like
the Autobot symbol?
Yeah. Love.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you would recognize her. If I said her name, you wouldn't recognize the name, but.
Huh.
No, so, like, things like that, I'm like, okay, I love your tattoo because I know what it means. But, like, if I don't know what it means and it's unique and it's pretty, I'll be like, what does your tattoo mean? And, like, I love hearing stories of that. I like when people ask me about mine. I mean, I don't have, like, dramatic stories about mine, but.
I mean, yeah, when you're in a bikini, you're probably in the mood to talk. Because that means we're somewhere
we're
in
drinking.
that. We're in that kind of setting.
We're cozy, yeah. That's the only time you see mine. Are you going to get tattoos?
I'm thinking about it. I was going to see how long you'd go without talking.
Well, clearly not long.
Yeah.
You're staring at me.
I had something else for you. I don't know. I lost it. Thanks for doing this, girlfriend.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Were you nervous?
I was nervous, but I'm comfy now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do you feel about hearing your own voice?
I'm over it. It's fine.
You get used to it?
Yeah.
It's not as bad as you thought.
I'll come back. No, my voice is not as bad. Now, when we play this back, I might think otherwise, but at the moment of hearing it live, I'm fine.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it scares a lot of people away. Not away, but when they first put it on, they're like, whoa. And they keep this thing, like, out here. And I'm like, no, please keep it, like, up here.
Yeah, I'm, like, really close to it.
Check this out.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brittany Burnett.
Hey, it's going to be Brittany Orban.
That was perfect timing. Okay, watch it. This is a public setting. That's really all I had for you. Thanks for doing this. What else are we talking about? We're at an hour and a half.
Really?
Yep, just like that.
I actually feel like it would have been maybe a smidgen longer. What time is it?
Probably 11 o'clock, 10:30.
You didn't want to ask me any of my, like, deepest, darkest secrets?
Yeah, what are your deepest, darkest secrets?
I don't have any deepest, darkest secrets.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to new homeowners?
You want to know what I thought was really funny? So our best friends, Katie and Will, just got married. Shout out to the Camdens. We were both in the wedding. Katie sent me that video or that photo the other day and was like, we just built our first thing together. Like, our marriage will last. And I thought that was hilarious because we have some serious opinions when we're doing things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, we're both kind of wingers, but we both kind of like to measure. But I feel like we take the role of the opposite. Like, if I'm in the mood to measure, you're in the mood to not. And if you're in the mood to measure, I'm like, fuck it, just do it. But we're never on the same page. Yeah, I don't know. Homeowning has been great. I don't want to cry yet. I don't feel house poor yet. I might after our kitchen and our yard work, but we'll see about that.
If people were to buy a house, now that we have owned our house, what?
Date a realtor and have a mother that owns a title company.
Yeah.
Because all I did was smile and sign.
Today's podcast is brought to you by me, actually. Jack Orban at Invest St. Louis.
And Nancy Burnett.
If you're looking, yes, Nancy Burnett at Touchstone Title. If you are looking for either A, a title company, or B, a realtor in your local St. Louis area, hit me up. I'll help you buy your first home or I will help you buy your first investment property. Whatever you want. I got it all.
I was hoping you'd play like a sound, like you needed like it needed to be like a do 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 do.
There's another page of them. I don't know how to get to them.
That's too much.
The thing can hold like 16, and there's 8. Yeah, so there's 2 pages. I don't know how to get to them, though. I'm not going to fuck with it.
Yeah, that was nice.
If you, people that are looking at houses, and now that we love our house.
We do love our house. Tito now loves our house.
For people that are looking at houses, whether it's...
Go west.
Yeah. Whether it's look for the house with the new kitchen, the updated bathroom, the new floors, fresh landscaping, what are some things that you would tell people? I don't want to say that it's not that our house needs a gut. Our house needs some touch-ups.
Yeah, it needs
That's
some
why
love.
we bought it. But, like, what would you tell people to maybe consider over other things?
I would say the hard part of house hunting is obviously preference. You and I were very set that we did not want like cookie cutter flip home style. That was not either of our styles. And when we lived in Richmond Heights, we wanted to stay in that area because we loved it. However, we could not find a house that was not like freshly flipped, not like cheaply done, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
some of it is
some
cheap.
of it was cheaply done.
Everything is almost sterile. Like, that's the style. It's very
like
sterile,
hospital
very white.
like apartment
Yes,
appliances, apartment cabinets.
Yes, everything's like marble.
And like people, you
And
know
it's
what, like
beautiful.
Brookside level shit. Like you
Yes.
looked like you were moving in like a hotel room.
Yeah, like the house next door is supposed to look the same way.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful if that's your style, but we knew that that wasn't our style because we felt like there wasn't a lot of personality to throw into the house because it was just like cookie cutter done. We also could not find a house less than $500,000 in the area we wanted that was more than like 1,200 square foot. So I would say you and I did a really good job at deciding what was our style and what our goals were for our house. Like, we were very set on having like a yard. We were set on having like an open landscape or
Yard,
open,
yeah, yard's a good one.
like, because we wanted an outdoor
I think
living
people,
space.
yeah, the yard,
We
especially if you're planning
had
on being
no
there for a
outdoor
stint.
area. Yeah, like we had no, like, to give people an idea, we lived in a duplex that was shotgun styled, and our back opened up to our garage that opened up to our 4 neighbors.
Yeah.
And so
We shared, yeah.
there was no privacy.
Where she parked her car in the garage.
Is where my neighbor parked his garage.
Not
and
only
my
our
landlord.
house, but the house next to us and the 2 adjoining houses back to us. It's not that they could see it. We literally shared the driveway.
Yes, with multiple people. And then our front yard was Clayton Road, which is, you know, for St. Louis people, obviously a very, very busy road. And it was right before it got to Big Bend, so it's even busier.
Okay, don't give away a location.
Well, we don't live there anymore. However, I used to sit outside because I love sitting in the sun. And I would literally sit outside on Clayton Road in a bikini.
Yeah, she would.
And there's no privacy. Like, I would get honked at. And so one of our biggest things was we want privacy. We want somewhere to sit outside and, like, enjoy the outdoors in privacy. So that was a big thing for us. Open interior, like, having open space was a big thing for us. Like, we had a lot of things that we just, like, agreed on. So I would say, like, find your things that are, like, non-negotiables and then figure out what you could, like, give and take on. Like, for instance, location was, like, a huge give and take for us, which I don't regret at all.
No, I don't either.
But you were pretty hell-bent on not going west of 141 for a hot minute.
Yeah, it was just, yeah. Because if you go east,
Never eat soggy waffles west of 141. You did not want to go.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to go north. Yeah, I had certain parameters. That's, shout out Jim and Alexis. Every time, because we've only been over there so many times since we've owned this house, but now that we own this house, every time that I'm over to their house, I am so envious of their kitchen.
I love their whole house. I would buy their house
I am
tomorrow.
so jealous of their kitchen.
Their house is amazing.
They have a great home. They have
Incredible.
and they've done a great job with everything they've done. I think people say it all the time. It's like you don't get some money back in some things. It's not that I wouldn't have bought this house again. I love this house. I love this house. I have no complaints with this house. If we if we could have told the people before us to spend some money to update it, and we could have bought the house for a little bit more, I would have asked them to redo the kitchen.
Yeah.
We're not going to redo the kitchen right now, but I would. You don't realize how much, especially when you entertain, because the living room is not used for entertaining.
No, and we try.
But it's not, like, people will sit there. But, like, when you're when you're having a dinner party and, like, you're entertaining a group of 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 people, everyone's in the kitchen.
Like, do you think about how many times you sat on the Swearingen's couch?
Yeah. And
we're there every Sunday.
The 95% of those times have been in the past year. Like, literally in the past year. Maybe even 6 months. And we're always in the kitchen. And, like, at Jim's house, like, if it's just guys, we'll be in the sunroom because we're kicking it. It's just guys. But, like, if there's a congregation of people, we are in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. At your mom's house, we are in the kitchen. At my dad's house, we are in the kitchen. At my mom's house, we are in the kitchen. Like,
You forget how much.
Yes, I think that's... And that is, holy fuck, that kitchen at the apartment. Oh, my God.
No, I have PTSD.
Oh,
I hated that kitchen. That kitchen was smaller than bathrooms.
For people, our old apartment... It was shotgun style, and our kitchen was, I think it's called a galley kitchen. No, I don't know what it's called, but our kitchen was U-shaped right off
the dining room.
Right off the dining room, which was adjacent to the living room. And it was U-shaped, and I'm not exaggerating. If the refrigerator door was open,
and
it
the
took
oven door,
up...
And the oven door was open, the fridge door was only halfway open, and the oven was only cracked open, and they were hitting each other.
And if the dishwasher's open, the dishwasher door... took up the entire floor space.
Yeah, you had
like that's how this kitchen might have been.
Jack and I would sit in there, like, we use the term butt to butt. Like, we were back to back, butt to butt, if we were both in the kitchen.
This kitchen might have been 60 square feet.
And, like, if I wanted to open the kitchen door or the fridge door and you were in there doing something, you had to, like, stand against the wall and think skinny.
Yeah, that's something that...
Yeah.
I
love that apartment, but yeah, no, that was, no, thank you. This kitchen is day and night better.
Yeah, day and night, not even close.
Yeah, no, I highly recommend.
Homeownership's fun.
It is fun.
You make it your own.
Yeah.
Add your own flair.
Find your good bones. That's what my mom told me. She said it has good bones.
Yes, yes. That's what, hey, people, maybe don't buy a house that was built in 2024. Apparently, there are a lot of people who are skimping a lot of corners.
Yeah, give me some real estate tips.
I'm not an inspector, so don't listen to me. But apparently, I've never been on TV before. Look at that precious man.
I know. I'm gonna take a picture of Tito.
I had something else I was gonna say. Real estate. I already forget. Too much wine.
I'd say that was pretty good, babe.
Well, it was pretty good. This whole thing?
Yeah.
Thanks. I tried.
I'm not as nervous. I will come back if you'd like to invite me back.
Most of them go for about this amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then at this point in time, we just start bullshitting. And, like, with guys, it's usually football, sports, conspiracy theories.
You know what we could do?
What?
That TikTok trend.
Oh, we can just make a video out of that. We can make a real video of that.
We can make our own TikTok?
Yeah. I'll post it.
Okay. On your JoJo?
Yeah. On my page. That's what I've been doing a lot of digging on how you should place your social media and, like, social media tactics with, like, let alone a podcast. Let's say you're running a business. Let's say, like a personal fitness coach.
Okay.
And, like, how you should position certain content on different platforms.
Okay.
And it's, like, you should put everything, random thoughts, corny shit, advice, workouts, like, if you're a fitness influencer, like, everything on TikTok. but don't post all of those on Instagram. Only post the personal.
I would agree with that.
I don't. It wasn't personal. It was like maybe just only do the business.
More formal.
Like like the business side ones, or the ones that do well on Instagram. Because I guess it's a completely different thing. That was something that I found interesting from Joe, my brother, when he was on here, was that he said him and his generation really only use Instagram for stories. And like if you go to Joe's Instagram, his page, not his car page. If you go to his page, he only has 4 posts.
Yeah.
Probably less than 10 posts, if I were to bet. And same thing with, like, there's some of his buddies that I follow, and, like, when they like one of my pictures in my story or something, I'm like, I forgot about that kid. Click his name. They have no posts or 1 post, but I see their stories every single day. But these kids in that generation post on TikTok every single day.
I think I should TikTok.
You should. Fuck it. You'd be good at it, girlfriend.
Brittany Robinson says I'm funny.
I just followed her on TikTok.
Yeah, Brittany does post on TikTok. Brittany Robinson tells me I should post all my random thoughts on TikTok.
Okay. Let's say you start tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
Your little butterfly thoughts in your head,
yeah,
whatever.
like that I send to everyone on Snapchat.
Do you think that your job would have a problem with that?
That is a fear of mine. Like, I think I've entertained the thought of posting a lot of my stories. Because I tell, like, if you're on the other end of my Snapchats, I will post, like, I will send, like, the most random stories, just, like, as they happen to me. And they'll be, like, 5 videos long of just me blurbing. I would say maybe, but I don't really talk, like, obviously I'm not doing any, like, HIPAA violation.
Right, but, like,
I don't tell stories
if it's
that
just
way,
about, like, you and me, like, do you think they would have a problem with you posting that actively on social media?
I would say to an extent.
I don't want to say actively.
If they could, I don't know.
But that, like, interpersonally? Because, I'm curious.
I don't think I could talk about work stuff.
Because with people that I know, and, like, with this podcast, there's no problem with my job. But there have been scenarios where it's like, I don't know if all of that can be posted because of who I work for, what I do.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, that's fair. Like, whatever. Like, yeah, you don't want to be tagged in it because you post XYZ on your LinkedIn or your Instagram. Like, whatever the fuck.
I don't think my job would be against it. Like, I don't think my company by any means would be like, oh, my God, you cannot be on TikTok. Because I know people that are, like, on TikTok doing things. I think it would be just a level of respect knowing, dang, big boy, finished the whole bottle of wine.
That's what we do on this.
I think it would just be, like, out of respect, I would probably filter some of my things. Out of respect, like, if one of my patients found me, I wouldn't want them to, like, decredit me as.
But if you're not talking about work, I guess it's different if you, like, if you tailor your page towards medical sales, and then that, yeah, that's a different ball game.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think, not going back to the medical world, but we are very young to be in the field that we're in right now. Like, my position was not a thing, I think, like a decade ago. I don't think people this young were in this position. So, you know, I don't want to prove them right and be immature and then be posting silly things on the internet. But also, like, my things aren't necessarily, like, immature. I don't know. I just think there would have to be a fine line.
That was something that I don't know if it upset them, but it upset me, is that I have a friend that recently switched companies, and they told him to, like, go out of his way to stop posting so much on Instagram about work stuff. Not even work stuff, just, like, stuff he was doing. And, like, that was, like, gonna become, like, a big part of what he was looking to do. And then he switched companies, like, stop doing that. No more of that. And, like, the whole, in today's age and world, Jack Orban, the brand, Brittany Burnett, the brand, you are yourself. You are selling yourself to whatever company it is, whatever position it is. You are posing yourself as this. and social media. If you're not on social media, you're in 2001. Like, you are so far behind. And if you're not on social media, what are you doing? And I think that social media is a huge, because there are people that are like, let alone influencers. That's besides the fact. But
I think social media is insane.
Yeah, but people want XYZ Joe at their company as the guy posting about stuff because they're that on social media. Because they are.
Just think about the amount of things that you learn and you see on social media. Like, granted, I think there's a level of riding our brains on TikTok or Instagram, but think about the things that you actually learn from it. Like,
so much. And
just the reach you have.
Anything that's past 10 seconds, I learn a lot.
Yeah, like
anything that's 10 seconds or less, it's all brain rot.
Social media has is insane.
That's something that if I were to ever get Kelsey on here, I'm really curious about her thoughts on that. And Max.
On social media?
Yeah.
They'd be fun to have as a duo.
Yeah, they would be a great duo. That'd be a fun duo.
Shout out the Strongs. Let's get them down
and
here.
Megan and Bryson.
Yeah.
Megan Heckman, Bryson Duvall.
Some actual, like,
I'll talk to you both soon.
Dangerous duos.
Like, I don't want to say, I can't speak for them. A lot of their business, a lot of their traction is because of social media posts and social media interaction and social media.
I mean, that's all Kelsey and Max
their presence.
do. They thrive on that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's a way to connect with people.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And, like, it's crazy, like, with real estate, I don't do it. And, like, if you know me, you know I don't do it. I don't.
Do commercials?
Yeah. But, like, if you're in, like, shout out Tommy Espingy. Tom, you're an amazing realtor. I've heard fantastic things. I see fantastic things. He is all over social media.
You're shouting out people.
Yeah, Tom's a great guy. Tom, I don't think you listen to this, but people who listen to this, I know you know Tom, and you can vouch for this. If he didn't do social media, I bet his business would be
different,
half of what he does. Yeah, because of what he puts out there. Because it's all educational content. It's like, hey, if you're looking to do this, here's what you're looking at.
Well, for full circle, my company came out, my medical device company. So we never even said I sell bladder stimulators now. So
Tom, I want you on the podcast.
Round it back. I do bladder incontinence now is what I'm doing. It's neuromodulation. We came out with a commercial because this is how much, like, people are watching TV and on Facebook ads. We came out with a commercial and ads that then sends you to a link.
On Facebook?
On Facebook. You'll probably see it now that we talked about it.
Probably.
That you click on it and you're like, wow, I have bladder dysfunction. And you, like,
and that gives you leads.
Yes. Which is insane.
That's a huge influx of business.
Yeah. I mean, we were on The Golden Bachelor.
Holy shit.
I told you this.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. We had our commercial aired
during The Golden Bachelor. The thing with the, like, 50, 60, 70-year-olds.
Yep.
No way. Yep. That's hilarious that just happened because...
Get help? I don't remember.
I would bet that the average age... Because we hopped on Facebook early. Mm-hmm. 7th, 8th grade, which is 2010, 11, 12.
Probably ruined Facebook for a lot
2009, probably some of us. But now, and, like, that's when our parents hopped on, and, like, our grandparents hopped on. But now we don't use Facebook. Our Gen Z, millennials don't use Facebook. So I bet the average age of active users on Facebook is in the 40s, 50s, 60s, which is that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So full circle with like, companies are using
You guys just did
media. One? We launched that a while ago.
But yeah.
But
since you've been there.
We relaunched a commercial for The Golden Bachelor. I'll play it for you. Don't you worry.
I'd be curious. Obviously, we can't say those numbers. You probably can't tell me those numbers. I'd be curious what.
They were good numbers.
Yeah.
They announced them at, like, our GSM. Like, it's really cool. I mean, I probably do.
Oh my God, that was something.
Our program, like, I mean, I'm working on that every day. I'm going through the leads that we gather from commercials and ads. Like, you hear me talk about it all the time.
I do hear that.
Yeah, and I go through a website that gets all those leads.
No, I don't hear that. But I had a thought like an hour ago that I couldn't remember it. And it was the medical sales. When I saw Gideon, when Sophie's graduation party like a month or whatever ago. He introduced me to one of his buddies he's a nurse or something, whatever, but is looking to get into medical sales. And he asked me, he was like, Jack, this is so-and-so, this is Jack. His fiance is in medical sales. You guys should talk. And I was like, fuck, wish I had more advice for you. But I told him about how if you're looking to get into medical sales, you should go into elective surgeries. That's what I wanted to ask about. I wish I could fucking cut this and put it back. I could. I'm not going to do that. I hope everyone listens.
That's big.
Yeah.
Personally. But there's a lot of money in non-elective surgeries, like the more urgent
But the whole thing
procedures.
with, like, orthopedic shit and stuff, like, you're on call all the time.
Yes. Well, you cycle. So, like, a friend of mine from high school that I knew, which I don't know if I'd name drop him.
Whatever.
Out of respect to him, but I see him in hospitals all the time.
Let's call him John Doe.
He does an orthopedic procedure, and he has a team of 4. And so every Thursday is his on-call day.
Oh, God.
And then so his team of 4, so someone has Monday, someone has Tuesday, someone has Wednesday, someone has Thursday. Those are locked in stone, like they do not move. And then they rotate each weekend. So every 4th weekend is your weekend to be on call. So he will
Thursday
be on
through
call
Sunday?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Or the person to be on call Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it's every 4th weekend. And you're like,
And that's
when you're on call, you're like, I mean, you're getting called at 3 a.m. in the morning to come in and, like, fix a knee.
That happened to Trent last weekend. He's a PT.
PA.
Sorry, Trent.
Physician assistant. He went to PA school.
He was hoping to come out with all of us last weekend. Couldn't because I texted him. I was like, I texted him that we were going to McGurk's. And he was like, keep me posted the other day, whatever you're doing. Text him. And he was like, okay, word, probably won't be there. I'm still on call. Like an hour later, he told me that he just got called in for craniology.
Craniotomy.
Yeah, that. At like 8 o'clock at night on Saturday.
He's a neurosurgeon.
And
he's in neurosurgery.
And I was like, sure you are. And then he sent me a picture of him in his scrubs with his cap on. And I was like, okay, whatever, dude. Come to McGurk's. But it was Saturday night, 8 o'clock. He was just on call like that, had to be there. And that was something else I found out the other day, that people that are on call, which, one, it makes sense for the money that these surgeons and doctors make, and Clayton, et cetera, around the hospitals. But if you're on call, you have to be in a certain radius of the hospital. You can't live an hour away.
Nope.
You have to be there in 20 minutes or less, which makes I never thought about it. It never clicked. So someone said it the other day. That's why, like, a lot of the Central West End, all around Forest Park, Ladue, Town and Country, because they're 15 minutes from Mercy, Children's, BJC, whatever. They're so close to those hospitals, so they have to be.
Everything's right there.
Yeah.
You're just a highway skip hop away.
Which is because, they'll get it could be Christmas at 5 o'clock at night, and, hey, sorry, you got to get in here. This guy needs brain surgery.
Yeah. That's a hard job as a rep.
So
I have a lot of friends that are doing it, and you make buku money, but I would say the burnout rate's higher.
Because of how demanding it is.
How demanding it is.
How would you advise people to go about that route? If they're looking for that,
well, like
the money route, what would you say?
Well, all of my friends, I mean, when you get into medical sales, I think you're just willing to take whatever the door opens. When I got into kyphos, I realized that I really enjoyed the spine. I loved the spine. I loved that area of it. It makes sense to me. I also, because I have the big fear of needles, I could dissociate seeing someone's back, like when you're taped, like
disassociate?
when you're draped. Yeah, disassociate. Like when you're draped, like a patient is laying on the table and they're draped, like I can disassociate that it's a human. Like I could never do ENT. I could never do eyes. I could never do face. Like all of that is very
invasive.
Yes. And so I knew I always wanted to stay in the spine area. So then when I got into neuromodulation for pain, I was in the spine still. And then now I'm in the sacrum. So I'm like your tailbone region, the butt of the spine. But so I would say find your niche that you're interested in, which you can also handle. Like, I am not very bloody in my role. There's not much blood. Like, we're barely losing a few hundred cc's. Like, there's nothing very bloody about my role, which I enjoy. The blood doesn't really bother me, but that could bother a lot of people.
That'd bother me.
Yeah. Like, I couldn't do seeing someone's face and eyeballs. That would freak me out.
So, give an example of these. Like, your surgeries are planned out. You know what's happening, whether it's
Like
a couple
week
days
or
ahead,
2
a week ahead,
days.
whatever it is. What would be some examples of these, quote, on-call surgeries? What did you just say? Craniectomy? What is that?
Craniotomy.
Let me see what he said. I want to use the correct term.
A craniotomy is like for your brain. Like, I don't want to. I'm not a pro, but
he texted me literally. So he texted me at 5:24 p.m. Literally just called in for an emergency craniectomy.
Oh, I don't know.
Let's find out. Craniectomy.
Something with your brain.
Craniectomy is a type of surgery to remove a portion of your skull. This helps relieve extra pressure on your brain. Your brain sits inside the strong bones of your skull. These bones help protect your brain. During a head injury, blood vessels in the brain may break open and spill blood on the brain tissue. Jesus Christ.
So when your brain starts
So he watched someone, he was in there when someone's skull got cut open?
Yeah, I sat in surgeries like that with my surgeon up north.
What the fuck?
Did you know that we do, like, what I do is also DBS, deep brain stimulation, so neuromodulation, but for the brain. It's for, like, tremors. It's really freaking cool.
No,
so, like,
I did not know that.
The exact product that I provide can be done in the brain, and, like, we keep the patient awake, and they could have tremors, and then we stimulate their brain, and all of a sudden they have, like, full control. It's crazy. It's really cool. So I have seen a brain.
Okay, so what would be some examples of?
Well, that's an emergency. That was probably like I'm not going to say that I don't know what it was, but
right.
I mean, hypothetically, in his role, he's probably getting like car accidents or like head traumas. And so he's running
that
in.
makes sense.
However, there's not necessarily like representatives coming in for that. I would say in like Emily's role, which she could speak more to it, obviously, I'm going to guess hers is like.
What does she do?
She does something orthopedic.
Okay.
So I'm going to guess hers is like also similar, like trauma. So, you know, like some type of accident issues like that, or like repairs that need to be urgent.
Orthopedic is a branch of medicine that focuses on the care of the skeletal system. That's what I thought. I thought it was bone stuff.
Yes.
So she just has. She has no details.
She just knees and ankles and all that kind of stuff.
Broken bones.
Knees. Yeah, but I think it's also like ligaments and stuff.
Huh.
So, I mean, it's just urgent cases that, like, that patient comes in and they have that and they're like, hey, we want to do surgery in 3 hours.
So just kind of what your appetite is.
Yeah, I mean, are you saying, like, for my role?
Well, like.
It's what you can handle.
Right, exactly.
Also, the spine makes sense to me. Respectfully.
Oh,
like,
okay, yeah.
I like the structure. I like the spine. It makes sense to me. I understand it. I can see it on an x-ray. I identify things very easily. Like, I enjoy it. So I would say find a part of the body that interests you and that makes sense to you, which I think that's a rotation for Trent. I don't know if
he did a bunch of rotationals.
Yeah, but I could see him in neurosurgery.
Which is like that's how he found what he wanted to do.
Yeah. But you can't shop like that as a sales rep, which I wish you could, because that'd be pretty cool.
Well, I mean, that's what I was talking about the other day. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon for all my life, because the impact when I broke my arm and my leg in the same year when I was 5 or 6, and those are like some of my earliest memories. I remember doing it, and I remember going to the hospital. Those are like that, and like the piñata at like the same birthday it was like a Power Ranger helmet, which I thought about the other day. Mom, pretty sure you just bought a motorcycle helmet. I thought about that the other day. Pretty sure you just bought a motorcycle helmet and called it the Orange Power Ranger helmet, and there was never an Orange Power Ranger. But I remember, some of my earliest memories are breaking my arm and my leg And the impact, I remember vividly the doctor's office of that guy that helped me with my arm and my leg. And I was like, this is the shit. This guy does what? He's going to fix my bone?
Uh-huh.
That I just got jumped off. Yeah. I thought that shit was so cool.
Yeah.
Which I guess if you find it, you find it. If you don't, you kind of got to, I guess you got to. But if you're already like looking to get in the medical field, whether you're a nurse or you're looking to get into it, you probably already had an interest in something from the get-go.
Yeah. Well, and then...
Like, I know a lot of people get into it. Like, my mom always said that I should get into medical sales to get into the...
Cardiac.
Yeah, the pump.
Pacemakers or... No, you were... She's talking about, like...
Pacemaker.
Yeah.
Because my grandpa had one of those. Because a lot of people get into it for...
From getting a bypass.
XYZ relative had XYZ problem, and XYZ solution helped them, and that changed the life, saved the life, whatever it was, and that's why they got into sales. And that's an amazing reason. That's a fantastic reason. That's a reason that my mom always gave me, that I should maybe entertain med sales. But now I do real estate.
I think you could do med sales.
Thanks, girlfriend.
You're welcome.
I had a buddy, Connor Flynn. His
Are we gonna tag everybody in this that we've name dropped?
No.
I might tag some of my friends.
That's okay. I'll cut up clips. You can send them to him. Connor Flynn, I remember back in the day when I first found out what his dad does, was skin grafts.
Mm-hmm.
Found out what that was, and I was like, that's insane.
You need to watch Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, when I found out what a skin graft was, that rocked my world.
Yep.
I don't want to say disgusting, but the injury that it helps is disgusting. That I could never, ever, ever, ever be in that room. No shot and shit. And like this fucking patch of, it looks like rebar that you put in concrete.
The medical
field
like a
is
web
insane.
Thing.
Yeah, I don't get it. Which I get, like, the money behind it.
Yeah, but
it's
you
like
just have to think about, like...
the innovation that's behind it and, like, what they put into it.
And, like, when you're standing there, I mean, mine is so minimally invasive, but I'm like...
Like, some of these...
I'm in control of changing this human's life. Like,
yeah, and some of these...
Go on vacation in a few months because of me.
Some of these things that people get in their body, or a skin graft, or the battery that gets in someone's back, whatever, at one point, that had $1 billion of research behind it. Like, it took...
Oh, my God, our research
It took thousands of people to figure that one out and to put it in somebody and to make it work.
And then it stays there for 20-plus years.
Yeah, and it works like a charm. There's a little remote, like your fucking blue, like your remote in your fan.
The key fob for our cars.
Yeah, exactly. Works like a charm.
Yeah. No, the medical field is crazy. I love it. That's why I'm saying you're never the smartest person. There's always just so much happening around you, so much innovation, so much. There's just so much to learn. I love the medical field.
Good. I'm glad.
I like where I'm at.
You're a rock star. You do really well.
That's very kind of you.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You want to call it?
Sure.
We're at 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Whoa.
Waiting from an hour and a half to 2 hours, just like that.
Yeah, that was a little gnarly.
Cheers, girlfriend.
We backtracked. But
Love you. Thanks for coming in.
love you more.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.